Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled and get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. More information about our sponsor coming up later in the podcast. But for now, let's get into a much needed, very therapeutic session of podcasting. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Jumbled, your favorite podcast about nothing. I'm Zach.
And I'm Johnny. And that was an egg. This is a special podcast tonight for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
The first being I am eating a carton of hard-boiled eggs because it is 9 o'clock.
And I challenged
Tuesday
you to
night.
eat a carton of hard-boiled eggs. Is that why?
God damn it, Zach. I just officially retired from food challenges for the second time.
For the second. Wait. Had you gone back into it after we talked about it the first time?
I did. I don't even know where to fucking start with this podcast right now. Oh, sorry.
Professional, man.
I'm getting...
Professional, dude.
Okay, listen, Zach. So, I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things on my mind. We'll start with the food challenges, and then we'll talk about my day.
Okay.
So, food challenges. I was semi-retired, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then a challenge came to my knowledge that was a 1 kilogram of donair.
A kilogram of what?
A 1 kilogram donair.
I don't know what that is.
So a kilogram is about 2.4 pounds.
Okay.
And a donair is the proper term for what you Yanks call a gyro or a gyro.
I don't call it a gyro.
Okay, well, you know what? I don't know. You're American. Who knows what you guys say? You guys say dumb shit all the time.
So the phrase gyro is not appropriate to say? That's not a Greek word. They don't say that?
It's the Greek version. So a donair is more of like a Middle Eastern version.
Gotcha. So it's not the same.
Yeah. So anyways, my homeboy Omar, who's my stylist, shout out to Velvet Style, he was telling me about how his cousin, Omar's Lebanese, by the way,
Okay.
owns a donair place, and we're talking about how much I love donairs.
Okay.
And fun fact, when my mom was pregnant with me, when Mama Shauna was pregnant with me, she ate a lot of donairs. So I blame my donair love on her, and she blames it on me. And he told me that his cousin has this donair place, and they have a challenge. What's it called? It's some play on like a dinosaur-sized donair, and the challenge is a 1 kilogram of beef on a donair, so it includes lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and like pickles and stuff. And you have to eat it in 40 minutes.
Okay.
And as I've said before on this podcast, I love food challenges. I'm not a speed eater. Can I eat 2.5 pounds of food? No problem. Can I eat 2.5 pounds of food in 40 minutes? At the current weight that I'm at now, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But never shying away from a challenge, I said, let's do it.
How long ago was this?
Last week.
Oh, okay. So it's a recent thing.
Ironically, comically, it was day 2 of my weight cut in preparation for a jiu-jitsu tournament.
Starting up strong.
So I posted this whole event on my social media, which I'm disappointed you clearly weren't paying attention to my stories.
No, well, here's the thing. I don't pay attention to anybody's stories because I really don't look at the stories. I'm not on Instagram that much, honestly. I have started doing Snapchat more, but...
Snapchat's going out.
Okay, like I'm up to date on all the social media spheres, alright?
Okay. Anyways, so my boy Omar, he's like, let's do this together. It'll be fun. We're going to plan it around the end of Ramadan. He's like, I'll be ready to just eat. And I was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And then we were chatting. He's like, yeah, I lost a lot of weight for Ramadan, and I just don't think my stomach can handle 2.5 pounds of beef right now. So let's give it a couple weeks.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, that's cool. Kind of didn't think anything of it. Decide to commit to this tournament and decide that I'm going to compete at 195, which means I had to cut 20 pounds.
Yep.
And then talk to my coach about it. We make a plan. And then day 2 of this plan, Omar texted me. He's like, yo, let's do this donair. And I was like, well, fuck. I told him I was going to do it. Didn't want to wait any longer. So we did it. I failed the challenge.
How close were you?
I got to 150 grams.
Ugh.
Which is not a lot. It's a decent amount, but it's not a lot.
Right.
And it wasn't that I didn't run out of space. Honestly, it was like my jaw was so fucking tired.
Right.
Like I could still eat. And a lot of people were like, oh, you're making excuses. So, straight up, I failed the challenge.
Right.
No complaints about it.
Right.
I failed that challenge, and then I went and ate a motherfucking blizzard to celebrate my official retirement from food eating competitions. Clearly, I had the space. I just couldn't do it in the time. But the time limit was part of the challenge.
Yeah.
And I failed.
Your official second retirement.
My official second, but it's the official. I will not do another food challenge
until somebody else wants to do a donair challenge, and then you're right back in.
I won't give in to food challenge.
Is there one food that you feel like you could completely crush at a food challenge?
I mean, let's be honest. So my record, I'm 12-3 in food challenges, which I think is a respectable number.
Sure.
I actually was going through and doing the math. And looking back at challenges, I failed 3 challenges.
That's an 80%
failed
win.
3 challenges.
Yep.
And I think 3 strikes you're out. My priorities have changed. I'm not lifting as heavy. I'm not fat like I was.
Sure.
I don't eat as much as I do in general, and I eat mostly vegetarian right now, believe it or not. So I need to be realistic about where I'm at. Could I get back into eating form and crush that challenge? Absolutely. Is there a part of me that wants to go for redemption and just commit the next 6 months to being a fat piece of shit and then going in and beating the record?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Can I do it? I'm positive I can do it. I went into that challenge pretty like not eating meat, fasting, not eating a lot in general, and I almost beat that challenge as it was. Me in my prime, no problem. I have put away meals that are upwards to 6 pounds. It's not a mass issue. It was a speed issue and just where my body's at. I have accepted that I have other priorities that I want to accomplish, which requires me to be smaller and not eat as much.
Sure.
And I am trying to focus on those right now. And maybe I'll return to the competitive food world when I'm 50, right before I die, because, you know, I'm going to die at 50. We've talked about this.
Sure, yeah.
And my body doesn't matter anymore. And I've completed all the tasks that I want to do leading up to that.
Sure.
Maybe I'll revisit.
Okay. Like the year before you go. Or maybe that's how you decide to go out. What's the food you want to die eating?
Like it kills me or my last meal?
Hey, let's do both. Let's visit both.
Man, last meal is hard.
Well, it's not a prison last meal. You know, you're going to enjoy it. You're not going to be eating it in a cell.
True. So, last meal before I die, I want my grandfather's traditional Christmas dinner.
Okay.
Which is like Ukrainian food.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I want. That's like my comfort. That's my happy place. That reminds me of family and like my mom and my grandpa and like all my cousins.
Sure.
I love the fuck out of sour cabbage rolls.
Okay.
If I was going to die by food, eating something, I want it to be like a giant pizza, and I want to like flop over me like a blanket, and I suffocate as I try and eat
It's
my
not
way out of it.
Oh, okay. I was about to say it's not you dying of suffocation, not necessarily of eating.
Yeah.
So you want like a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs sized pizza to fall from the sky on top of you.
Yes, that sounds perfect.
Awesome. Well, I don't know that I can make that happen, but...
Well, I think you need to invest some more research and development into creating this mega pizza.
Sure.
Which I have also eaten and accomplished a giant pizza food challenge before.
Have you?
Yes.
Was it one of those by yourself or a group?
By yourself. I've only done one group food challenge. I'll never do it again because my partner, Ryan Nadeau, sorry, maybe bleep out his last name.
I'll try to remember.
He quit on me, and I'll never forgive him for that. I haven't seen him since. I actually don't think I actually have seen him since, ironically. Not intentionally. But That was my first loss, and that was a tough one to take.
I'm sorry, man. I'm making note of the name Bleep. Well, Johnny, here's to you, man. I don't have a drink, but here's to you and your many, many victories and food challenges. And, I know you say there won't be another one, but I just have a sneaking suspicion that there's probably going to be another one.
Probably will
It's
be.
just a guess. It's just a guess.
It's only a matter of time before I'll give in to temptation, and then I'll be pissed at myself for giving in. But I'm trying to hold strong.
It happens, man.
And I'm somewhat back on track to my weight loss goals.
Mm-hmm.
And I should hit 195 by September 14th.
Okay.
That's the plan. Well, I have to be under 200 pounds. My goal is to be 195 on my scale because that gives me a bit of flexibility.
Sure.
And then obviously if scales weigh differently or whatever, I have a margin of error there. So, but it ain't going to be easy, and I have to do it naturally, not with a dehydration cut. So that's an added level of challenge.
Okay. Is weighing in sort of the same thing as like wrestling, where you just have to make weight and then you can eat?
No. So this tournament is day of weigh in the day of competition.
Right.
So you can do a hydration cut or a partial hydration cut, but you're not really going to want to go and compete after doing that.
Sure.
So, which is good. I believe in this because it means the people that I will be competing with will actually be true to that weight. None of this weigh in and you have 24 hours and you gain 20 pounds bullshit.
Right. Okay. I just know like my brother wrestled in high school, and for his meets and stuff, he would have to make weight, and then they would have like food on the sidelines, like in between their matches, they would cram a bunch of food. I don't know if jiu-jitsu is the kind of way where you don't want to have a whole lot on your stomach, or
it depends on the level and the system of the weigh-in and the competition and what the rules are. Some are day before weigh-ins and you can do that same thing. Some are morning of, and there's some people that take that risk. I will be prepared to hydration cut 5 pounds the morning of.
Okay.
If I'm not quite there, because I will compete at the end of the day. So I weigh in the first thing in the morning, and then I have like 3 or 4 hours to rehydrate and like get back on track.
Sure.
So, but ideally, I'm doing this as not just a challenge for the tournament, but a challenge to really push myself to get to that below 200 mark, because it is hard for me to get there.
Right.
But I'm willing to make that effort, and the more I'm accountable to it and public about it, the more I'm accountable to it, which means I feel more motivated to not eat. So it's a pro and con, right? So if I don't do it, now all of our jumbled listeners will be like, hey, John, you said you're going to do this, and you didn't, you big pansy face butthead.
Pansy
and I
face
will accept
butthead.
that.
Yep.
And my punishment will be having to wrestle with bigger people than me, which I don't want to do.
Yeah. So if you miss weight, you can move up to the next.
I'll have to go up a weight class.
Okay,
and then
so
I'll be the small guy.
So it's sort of different from wrestling that way, where I mean you're competing on an individual level, right? So it's like for high school wrestling, you're competing as a team, to see who all comes out as far as like scoring goes. So if you didn't make your weight, you just didn't wrestle that day. Because the spot next, did you just seriously cram all those in your face? I didn't realize you had eaten 8 of them in the span of the first 10 minutes of this podcast. That's impressive, dude.
8 hard-boiled eggs in approximately 8 to 10 minutes.
All right, that is the challenge for you listeners. If you think that you can... and that wasn't Johnny like cramming. That was just Johnny eating and holding a conversation. So here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to carry on an 8-minute conversation with a buddy of yours and try to eat 8 hard-boiled eggs while talking and not missing a beat. Good job, Johnny. I'm proud of you, dude.
Still got it, baby.
Professional, dude.
That's right. That's a professional eater right there.
Yeah.
Just casually eat 8 hard-boiled eggs. I'm still hungry. I'm going to finish this podcast. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to fucking eat something else. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, probably like a grapefruit or something, right? You got any grapefruits up there?
Oh, I don't have any grapefruits, but I do love me some grapefruits.
I know you do.
I think I have some fruit up there. I know I got some veggies. I'll figure something out.
Yeah, you got it, dude. So I did a bit of a system upgrade to the podcasting rig I told you guys about. I've got an irresponsible amount of RAM in this computer right now, so if I end up
amount of RAM.
If I end up like getting sidetracked and doing something else while we're talking, I apologize.
Unacceptable. I need your undivided attention.
Understood. Got it. All I'm saying is I'm only running 7.9 gigs of RAM right now out of my 32, and I've got 4 different windows open. Doing a bunch of stuff.
Did I upgrade to 32 or to 16? What did I do?
I don't know. I can't speak for you. I
can't remember.
I feel like you went all out too.
I'm pretty sure I went to 32.
Yeah. Well, it's like I paid $100 for
32.
For 32.
Suck it, Zach. I did it first.
You did it first. Well, you know what? You're the hipster of RAM in computers, dude.
I'm the RAMster.
You're the RAMster. Hold on, let me. All right, perfect.
This needs to be Johnny Challenge 2.0.
Ooh, the Johnny Challenge 2.0, which was episode 37, was your initial podcast, and that was the Johnny Challenge where we talked about your McDonald's obsession.
Yep.
And your regular order from McDonald's. So what's this?
8 eggs in 8 minutes.
8 eggs in 8 minutes, but that's not really like. Do you you think you could cram 8 eggs probably in what 2.5, 3 minutes if you tried?
Are they peeled? So that's a good point.
That's a good point.
I maintained conversation the entire time.
Yeah.
And I peeled them and ate them.
And here's the thing: I didn't even realize that you were peeling eggs either, which is really
I was
impressive.
Busting them on my knee.
It's really impressive because like I can't peel an egg to save my life. Like I always have like the little bitty pieces. I end up having to try to like pick them all off and stuff.
Oh, yeah, there's a trick to it. I eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
An ungodly amount of eggs. We get eggs from a farm, and we always have at least 2 dozen eggs.
You should just get a chicken coop in your backyard.
We looked into it. We cannot. It's against the bylaws.
Why?
It's against the bylaws. I don't know what to tell you. I don't write the laws.
The bylaws. So for the
city laws.
The city you live in? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
probably because we live in the mountains and wild animals in your backyard. Animals in general attract coyotes and other things, and it's noisy and it's messy and it's stinky and whatever. Sucks, but I follow the law, so I will not get a chicken.
What are the rules for a subterranean chicken farm?
That is a good point. In the basement, I don't really like our tenant, so I might just make a chicken coop in the spare bedroom down here.
Yeah.
Frozen Tundra Studio C will also be a chicken coop. It's a very complex room.
It is a very complex room.
Podcast, library,
guns,
armory.
Yep.
Chicken coop.
shrine to Santa Claus, Santa Claus molestation.
I think my mom is taking personal offense to that. I had lunch with her yesterday.
Yeah.
And she made a conscious effort to reiterate that she does not believe that I was molested by Santa Claus.
Sometimes people just say stuff to try to make themselves feel better,
That's true.
It's an awful thing that happened to you, Johnny.
And according to the jumbled guest poll,
so far it's pretty much
unanimous decision.
Yeah, it's a consensus. Yeah.
Although we haven't tested Larry yet, so I need to talk to Larry.
It's true. We'll need to get Larry back on the podcast in order to do that.
But anyways, so yeah. So sorry I was late tonight.
It's okay.
I had a day, as you can tell.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with this. So, Allie and I have been talking about buying a new car for about 6 months.
Sure.
And part of it was figuring out what we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it was figuring out timing. How much did we actually want to spend? Because we're both kind of frugal.
Sure.
And then it was agreeing and timing. And then we were looking at interest rates. If we were going to finance. We saved a pretty good down payment, but we knew we were going to finance. But neither of us wanted to pay high interest rate.
Right.
So we were kind of like playing this weird back and forth, blah, blah, blah. And about a month ago, we went and we test drove a bunch of vehicles. We made like a cute little date day. We got, somewhat dressed up. I wasn't in my typical gym shorts as I am whenever I'm not at work.
Mm-hmm.
I put jeans on, a button up. We went for a cute lunch. And then we went to some dealerships and we test drove a bunch of stuff. And when I say a bunch, we test drove a new Toyota Corolla. I love Toyota. We test drove the new Toyota RAV4, which is what I thought I really wanted at first.
Mm-hmm.
We test drove a Lexus UX, which is their like hybrid small entry level crossover.
Mm-hmm.
And we test drove, because I was feeling brave, we test drove the new Lexus IS 350 on the pretense that if we were to buy that car, I would have to sell the Corolla. Just to be clear, which makes sense. I don't need two stupid cars like that.
Sure.
So we test drove a lot. And then what we learned was neither of them really fit the bill of what we were looking for completely. So, for example, I love the Lexus UX. It's a hybrid. Check. So here's what we're looking for. Good fuel economy. A small crossover. Bigger than a car. All-wheel drive. And, moderate reliability.
Sure.
And had decent speed. So in the small crossover world, it's a very strange world right now. So the Lexus UX, it's a Toyota. Check. I love it. I'm a Toyota guy.
Yep.
It has all-wheel drive. Check. Love it. It's a hybrid. Has incredible fuel mileage. Check. Drives like shit.
Really?
It was so disappointing. I mean, I knew it was going to be gutless going into it. It wasn't horrible, but it was like not responsive,
well,
and
you expect more out of the Lexus brand though, since it's like it's sort of like a luxury, or like the next step
it is
to
a luxury car. I feel pretentious saying that. I apologize.
I have an Acura. I can't really. I mean, that's
true.
Yeah.
So then we test drove the IS 350, which is what I really wanted. All-wheel drive, sporty, okay fuel mileage, but it's a full-size car,
right?
And it kind of already hits a need that I have with a Corolla. Like, do I really need another sports car? Love the car, but we didn't really want to spend that much money on it. Like, it's not. If we just had better things that we would want to spend the money on, if that makes sense. So we kind of talked about it and was like, well, if I sell the Corolla, I can buy it, but it doesn't make sense to have that car and the Corolla, and it just becomes an issue. And then garage space is limited. So then we went over to the Toyota dealership, and I test drove the new Corolla hatchback, which I love because I have an 80s Corolla and I love them dearly. And that car was pretty nice, but front wheel drive. Not quite full-sized mini crossover. Like, it's a smaller car.
Sure.
And it was expensive for what it was. And then I had this thought of like, is this really checking all of the boxes? It was nice that it was manual.
Right.
It was decently sporty for a front wheel drive car, and I liked that it was Toyota, but again, it wasn't quite hitting all the marks. So then we test drove the new RAV4. Mm-hmm. And they made them full size. And that kind of excluded it there, was that, do we want 2 full-size SUVs? Not really. Yeah. So I had a bit of like an existential crisis of like, what are we going to do? What are we going to buy? And then we started looking at other things. Am I being too needy? And then Allie sneakily slides in this vehicle called the Kona, which is made by Hyundai, which is made in Korea. Yeah. And I'm a Japanese guy, through and through. But Allie's first car out of university was a Hyundai Accent, aka Zippy. Truthfully, it has been the most reliable car that we own. It has been cheap, easy to maintain, cheap on gas, decent service. Never had an issue with it. So she was like, let's just go look at this. Just look at it. I know it's not a Toyota. I know it's not a Japanese car, and you're venturing into a weird Korean world that you don't like. But just give it a chance. I think it's gonna fit. So I started doing a bunch of research on this car. And time again, when they compared that car against the Lexus UX, the Subaru Crosstrek, the Mazda version, like all of those small crossovers, the Kona was number one. Wow. And then I read JB Power Auto Consumer Reports, and it won best in class. I was like, okay, so there's clearly something here with this car.
Whoa, Johnny. Whoa. Calm down there, boy. Here's a sugar cube. Guys, it's July. We need to talk about our sponsor, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled to get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. The book that we're going to talk about this month is A Polaroid Guy in a Snapchat World by David Spade. Narrated by David Spade. It's about 6.5 hours long. David Spade reflects on his SNL days and also talks about his life now through a series of takes such as why it's getting harder to date younger women, the dad life, and being the battle-tested vet on set. Whether he's talking about the far too easy task of breaking up via iMessage or feeding the trolls and losing online, when David displays his humor and filthy mind on being middle-aged, he's in a league of his own. This audiobook was created with Audible in mind. It's pretty cool. They wrote it and they created it. And this was the end goal, to get on Audible. So head over and find the new comedic memoir, which will take you along for the sometimes embarrassing and always hilarious ride of getting older in our fleeting Snapchat world. Guys, that's the book. If you want to listen to that, great. If you want to listen to something else, hey, cool. Just head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. They got all the books. Like I've said before, numerous times, you guys know, they've got so many books, so you're going to find something you like. I guarantee it. And we guarantee that you are going to like the rest of this episode. So let's get back to it.
So we go to Hyundai, and I feel like my skin is going to light on fire just walking in there. But I try and put my prejudices behind me.
Sure.
And we talk about the car, and the sales guy is like, giving me the sales guy pitch. I was like, dude, I know about this car. I've watched a lot of videos. I've read about it. He's like, okay, well, are you like looking for affordability, or are you looking for fun? I was like, I don't want to look at the 2-liter. I know it's garbage. Just let me test drive the 1.6-liter turbo. He's like, okay, you know what you want. And I was like, I know what I want, and I don't think it's this, but I'm going to give this a shot at the request of my wife. And, I'll be honest, the inside is okay. It's not overwhelmingly fancy. It has an appropriate amount of buttons. That was one of my feedback at the Lexus. Why the fuck any vehicle needs 4 different places that you can control the volume of your radio, I will never understand. But that is the case. I thought it was in a goddamn rocket ship in the Lexus. Like, there's toggle switches and spindles, and there's a touch mouse pad on like the center console.
You can
control a mouse with.
Do you have a throttle?
Like all kinds of weird shit, man. And I mean, it looked cool, but I was like, I would be so annoyed trying to deal with this on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So the Kona interior, I would give it a passable. It's leather. It has a cool like 8-inch screen for your GPS and all that shit.
Uh-huh.
It does score points because it has a pop-up heads-up display, like a fighter pilot heads-up display.
Okay.
Which made me feel pretty badass.
Yeah. Oh, project up on the windshield?
The windshield.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I drove what was it? I think it was a Grand Prix Pontiac when they still made them. And
they had them, yeah.
Yeah, they had those.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. What I do like is it has a wireless charging pad for your phone in the console, so you can just put your phone down, good to go.
That's pretty neat.
It's comfortable. It's a good size. I hate to admit this, it still pains me to this day. I loved driving it. I threw that bitch in sport mode. The turbo is awesome. There's very little turbo lag. It's not like blow your pants off fast, but it's peppy. It is surprisingly quick for everything that's in that class. And it put a smile on my face. And the sales rep was kind of like, oh yeah, like you can drive it. And I was joking, I'm like, can I do donuts? He's like, I won't tell anyone. And Allie's like, be careful what you say, because he will push this car through its paces. And then I kind of looked at him and was like, I race cars. And you're giving me the okay to drive this car. He's like, you're responsible for any of the tickets, man. And I was like, all right. So we went down to a back road, and I was throwing that bitch into corners, like 4 wheels squealing.
Wow.
Like ripping on it, going to a stop, slamming on the brakes, pinning it, like putting it through his paces. At one point we went to a gravel lot and he showed me like all the different colors. And I just did a flat out donut flat spin in the gravel lot with it and like flipped a Yui doing that.
Yeah.
And then peeled out. Drove the piss out of that car.
Yeah.
So anyone who buys that demo, it's well broken in now.
Yeah, you weren't gonna buy the one that you put through the paces now.
Doing donuts in
You're
the
like,
gravel. It's
you know
all chipped
what?
up now.
I like this Kona. We're going to take the other one, though.
Yeah. Basically. So I was surprised. Like, I liked driving it. I liked it. It gave me a bigger smile, and it felt more responsive, or as responsive as the Lexus IS350, which was terrifying to say. I know it's not as fast, but it feels as fast. And it gets way better fuel mileage, and it's half the price. And that's where it really came in. When I look at the check boxes that we had of like, I'm not buying a car because I want a sports car. I'm buying a car because I want something nice and like reliable that will be okay for work, that has good fuel mileage and is all-wheel drive for the snow. And I started looking at the features, and it was the only one in class that has a locking diff, which means it's not like there's a difference between 4x4 and all-wheel drive, right? Like all-wheel drive, it adjusts the power to all 4 wheels to make sure you don't spin. 4x4, you're like all 4 wheels are spinning at the same speed all the time.
Right.
So the Kona has a locking diff, so you can emulate that by pushing a button, and it will spin all 4 wheels at the same time. So you get a sense of a true 4x4.
Right.
That was a huge bonus. And it's affordable, and it's reliable, cheap maintenance. One car of the year, or like one best in class or whatever.
Yeah.
So then we sit down with this sales guy, and we weren't planning on buying a car. And I wasn't planning on sitting down. We just wanted to go test drive it. And we're like, okay, we'll test drive it. We'll get an idea. And then we'll wait and see, a good deal comes up, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, we have 0.9% financing right now and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, fuck, here we go.
Yeah.
So then we start talking numbers. And then I negotiated hard, like real hard. So my strategy with the sales guy is I know the sales guy doesn't really have a say in the deal that I get.
Right.
Like he's my advocate, right? He goes up to the dude in the glass box and said, yo, I want to sell this guy this car. Here's what his expectations are. Dude in the glass cage types in some numbers, figures out the commission, and then comes back and says yes or no.
Right.
So I set this guy up to fail intentionally and was basically like, this is what I want. This is all the add-ons I want. And here's all I'm going to pay. I want you to go pitch that. And then he goes over and I could see in his face, he's like, I'm not going to win this. But what I do is then I watch the shit out of that guy, and I want to see how hard he is willing to work for me.
Right.
And is he going in being like, this is what he wants, and he stands there? Or do I see him like arguing on my behalf?
Right.
And it was a younger kid, and I watched him, and he strolled over there, and he took a completely unrealistic offer. And he pitched the shit out of it to his sales manager.
Right.
And I watched him this whole time, kind of half-assed, like I pretend like I had my hand, not paying attention, but I'm looking through my fingers and I'm staring at him, and I see him like going back and forth with this sales manager.
Right.
And then he comes back and he brings me like, here's a counter offer, and I look at him and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to accept that. Go back. And we kind of do this back and forth thing. And then we do this for probably 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, he gets within like, I don't know, $60 of what I said I want my monthly payments to be.
Wow.
And I'm like, you're not there. We're going to leave. And I left.
Whoa.
This poor kid. And I told him, I was like, honestly, like, here's the deal. Here's what it is. I'll go back. We will consider our budget and like what we're willing to spend.
Right.
You have 1 week to come up with the best deal you can.
Right.
1 week. Don't call me until you're close to this number. You know what my number is. Give me your best deal. I will come back to you in 1 week. I will not buy a car from anyone else. You earned you earned 1 week grace with me before I abandon you.
Right.
So we have an appointment on Saturday.
Okay.
In this time, we decided that we would sell the Accent. So last Sunday, I changed the bumper because the bumper had some dents in it.
Right.
Changed the bumper and I changed the front suspension. Posted it on Kijiji last night thinking it'll take a week to sell.
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 messages within 5 minutes of me listing that thing on Craigslist. I say Kijiji, but it's basically Craigslist of Canada.
Right.
I think we talked about it. And my phone would not fucking stop today, which is why I was late, because I had people messaging me, wanting to come from different cities, negotiating prices before seeing the car, that, all this shit, promising me an extra $400 if I wait until tomorrow when they can buy it. Which I don't do, by the way. You want me to wait? Sure. Send me $200 deposit, non-refundable. You have 24 hours.
Right.
Most people won't do that, but I've held cars for people before and turned away potential buyers, and then that person backs out and I'm on the hook, and then I have to go back and eat crow.
Right.
I just don't deal with it anymore. I'm pretty upfront. Here's a fair price. Here's all the maintenance records. Here's what I know about the car. Take it or leave it. Money talks. First person to walk in with money, that's who I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So I deal with all this shit, set up a bunch of viewings, and this guy, was like, I want to come to you. I'm serious about the car. And I was like, okay, sure. But like, here's the deal. And he comes, he's a nice guy. He's an engineer. He's a little bit older. And we start talking, show him the car. We negotiate. We come to a fair price. And I was like, okay, great. Do you have the money now?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no. And I was like, okay, I will not hold this car. And I literally opened up my phone and showed him the 40 text threads I had of people like still texting me about the car.
Right.
I was like, I have all these people that want to buy this car. I want to sell you this car. I like you. You seem reliable, but I will not hold the car unless you get money. He's like, well, what can we do? And this is his first time buying a car, by the way. This guy's probably 40.
Okay.
So I have to give him this education on this too. And so I walk him through the steps. It's like, you can email money transfer me the money and we'll do the bill of sale. Problem solved. He's like, oh, well, I have a cap. It's like, okay, that's fair. That sucks. Well, you can give me the bulk now and I'll sign a receipt saying that you've put a deposit on the car. You have 24 hours. You come back tomorrow night with the rest of the money. Car sold. It's yours. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Well, he was like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, he called his wife. His wife's like, well, come downtown and we'll take out the money out of an ATM. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure that you can take out a few $1,000s out of your checking account? You don't have a restriction. He's like, yes, it'll be fine between both of us. So I drive this guy downtown. We meet his wife. She gives him his debit card. And then I drive him to the bank. And he comes back and he's like, I can only take out $1,000. And I was like, okay. So I drove you home. You can only take out $1,000. Like, here's what I'll do. You're going to give me that $1,000. I will sign the receipt that says you gave me a deposit. I'm keeping this $1,000. You have 24 hours to come up with the rest of the cash.
Right.
If you don't, I'm keeping the $1,000 and I'm selling the car to the next person.
Right.
And he's like, he was kind of sketched about it. And I was like, well, I mean, this is the deal. Take it or leave it. Like, I drove you. I'm going to take $20 as an Uber fee for driving your ass around everywhere.
Right.
And you can go from there. He's like, okay, fine, let's do it. So I then drove home and then called you, which is why I was an hour late, because he was also 30 minutes late showing up because he had to take the bus to get to my house because he doesn't have a goddamn car.
Public transportation, man.
Oh, so now I'm in this awesome position where I have sold the car. I have to buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm training for this tournament, and it's cutting into my time. And to make things infinitely better, Allie is in Houston for work, so I'm doing all of this plus the dogs by myself.
Man, it's a busy time. So are you still selling the Corolla then?
I am. I'm kind of fishing. Like if someone...
So you guys are going to have one car between the two of you?
No, we have the Corolla, we have the Xterra, we have the Accent...
Okay.
And I have my bike, right? So like
Gotcha.
Worst case scenario is we'll pick up the Kona on Saturday and I'll ride my motorcycle to work for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me any, really. It's a little bit inconvenience, but it's a good excuse to ride more and I'm okay with that.
What kind of shape is the Xterra in?
It's 2015. We bought it brand new. It's in good shape. Yeah, okay. It's an okay car. It's had some issues, but
was that the last manufacturer year for the Xterras? I know they stopped making them. Yeah.
It sure was. And we get calls from every fucking Nissan dealership known to man. Like, oh, you have an Xterra? Do you want to sell it back to us? Because we have a buyer in the States. I'm like, no. If I'm going to sell it to someone in the States, I'm going to sell it myself and take the full profit.
Yeah.
Literally the dealership we bought it from, 6 weeks after we brought that car home, they called us and were like, hey, we have a buyer in the States that's looking for a blue one like yours, a Pro 4X. We'll give you like $500 cash if you sell it back to us and then like take this red one instead. And I was like, one, you're giving me $500 cash, but you're paying me a depreciated value on the truck so you can resell it to someone in the States while selling a new car. So you're selling two cars,
right?
But only losing inventory on one. I was like, and you're giving me a fake $500 cash? I was like, no. I was like, give me the guy's number. I'll sell it to him myself. He's like, oh, we can't do that. He's like an anonymous client, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well then offer me like $4,000 because it took me 2 hours to do this paperwork. And I'm not going to sit doing, 2 to 3 hours worth of paperwork for $500 and a $2,000 loss on depreciation on
it. Salesmen are so sketchy, dude. I sent you
It is so sketchy.
I sent you a video earlier trying to outline how I wanted you to be for when you were selling that car. Did you do that?
I started listening to it while the guy was talking to his wife and I forgot my Bluetooth was on so he could hear everything. But I heard something around like, here's what you got to do to sell this car. You slick your hair back. And then I was like, oh God, get out of this.
So yeah, the basis of it was you grease it. You just grease it over to the side, but flat to your head. It's pretty much just like a single layer of hair. Yeah. Then you start spraying on cologne. When you think you've hit too much cologne, you triple it.
You go twice as much.
No, triple. You triple it. Right.
The theory of triples. I like it.
Yep. So then you of course wear the button-up shirt with the tie. And then you got to work on your
short sleeved.
Short sleeve for sure. Short sleeve.
And it's got to be like really boxy and baggy.
Yes.
Like I got it from Walmart.
Yep. And then the back is coming untucked.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty standard. Yeah.
And then of course you got to have a salesman voice. Do you have a salesman voice?
I mean, I guess kind of. I don't know. What's your salesman voice?
I don't know.
Like, hey, you want to buy this sweet whip?
Yeah. Yeah. Just really trying. You hearing something, Johnny, or are you trying to relieve your cauliflower ear?
No, I think my dogs are barking. I think they're pissed off.
You took your cans off there for a second. I was like, oh, maybe his ears are starting to hurt.
This boy exploded again. I gotta fix that.
Did it really? You're still dealing with it, huh?
It was good for a couple months, and then I posted a video on my story, and you weren't watching, but I got punched in the ear a few times in a drill. And now it's pissed off again.
You know what I'm gonna be doing now, right?
Watching my stories
every single day.
I'll send it to you.
I'm gonna check your story because I don't want to miss anything anymore. Because you made me feel like a piece of shit because I don't get on Instagram enough.
Yeah, because you don't care about my life and you hate me.
That's true. To both of those things. So I saw.
Rude.
Sorry, I saw Toy Story 4 today. I almost cried.
Yeah. Tell me about this Toy Story 4.
Dude, it was no joke. I think it was my favorite Toy Story.
Really?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I've had too many up and down roller coasters of Toy Story. It's over, it's not, it's over, it's not, it's over, it's not.
Right.
That I don't have a desire to watch Toy Story 4.
I mean, that's fair. It's a fair assessment of the situation. What I would say, though, is to go into it somehow, try to detach your feelings that you had for the other ones and how they left off the last one or whatever. Personally, I thought they were done after the last one. I thought it wrapped it up pretty good with a bow, but
well, they needed, money for hookers and blow, so
sure. Well, Tim Allen did for sure. With his checkered past, his drug charges. Tim Allen's a godsend though. The dude can do no wrong. I saw recently he's going to be playing the role of Mr. Rogers in an upcoming movie. And
that's Tom Hanks.
What did I say?
Tim Allen.
No, I said Tim Allen. And I said Tom Hanks after that.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, Tom Hanks is going to play Mr. Rogers.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that. The end. But Toy Story was it was actually really, really good.
Yeah,
really good.
That's probably going to be a renter for me.
Sure. No spoilers, of course, because it's so new.
Yeah, but maybe next week we'll spoil the shit out of it, and then I won't have to watch it. Perfect.
So you just have no desire at all.
No desire at all.
That's
I
fine.
did see Spider-Man: Homecoming.
How was that?
Was it Homecoming? What's the new one?
It's something about home.
Is it Homecoming? Yeah. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It was a different style of enemy. I was hesitant about Jake Gyllenhaal being in Marvel movies because I don't like massive big names.
Yeah.
Even though Marvel movies are full of them now.
Right.
But it worked, and I enjoyed it, and I was entertained, and I love that Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was nice. It was very nice.
What else I see? Oh, I saw Lion King. Also,
how was that?
You know what? The critics have been sort of bashing it a little bit, but I thought it was really good. I wouldn't say it's better than the original.
Well, can it be better? It's going to be the same thing or slightly worse because they'll cut shit out.
Well, I mean, honestly, to be fair, sorry, go ahead.
When Mufasa falls down and dies, do you remember in the old Disney, the smoke spelt weed?
Oh no, so it's spelled sex.
Sex. Did that happen?
And that was Simba, and no, it didn't happen this time.
I'm not seeing it. Spoiler alert! That movie's a piece of shit.
No, dude. It did not do that, but what it did, which I thought was pretty weird, also sort of cool.
Please tell me there was graphic animal sex.
There wasn't graphic animal sex, but there was.
Movie is a piece of shit.
You just keep disowning it because it doesn't have all these purely non-Disney things. Well, actually, old school Disney had a lot of shit. On the original Little Mermaid box,
there was dicks
dick
everywhere.
There's a dick tower, dude.
Yeah, I love the dick tower. I mean, what?
It was the golden dick tower, man. And they removed it on subsequent things, subsequent VHS.
Mm-hmm.
What was it saying? Oh, so when he laid down. In the old one, it said sex, but when he laid down this time, a little tuft of hair flew off of him, and it floated, and they sort of outlined the circle of life or whatever. It landed on a tree, and then a giraffe ate the leaves and the hair, and then he shat out he like a big old shit, and then a dung beetle rolled it along, and then it went down a hill and broke open, and then.
There was the hair again?
The hair blew off, and then...
That's basically my life every day living with two furry fucking dogs.
You just shit out hair?
All the time. That's all I do is just hair everywhere. We bought a Roomba to try and deal with it.
Yeah, and the Roomba...
I did not know how expensive Roombas are, but
broke.
No, it's good. It's been going hard. We did name it DJ Roomba, and I'm really jealous because DJ Roomba sends Allie text messages when it's completed missions.
Oh, nice.
And then she sends me screenshots of, yo, DJ Roomba's hitting on me. Like, God damn you, DJ Roomba.
Does DJ Roomba play music and stuff?
Not yet, but there might be some modifications coming to DJ Roomba shortly while Allie's away.
There you
John
go.
will play.
Try your hand out a little bit of electrical engineering.
I mean, by electrical engineering, you mean I'm just going to duct tape a wireless speaker on it?
Yeah, no soldering. There's no soldering at all, yeah.
No. No.
But yeah, overall, they kept a lot of the same things in there. Like, there was... So, you remember, like, back in the 90s when it was, like, sort of taboo for a Disney movie to say the word fart? You know, like, when they were singing Hakuna Matata, he's like, you know, Pumbaa said his little line about, like, his friends wouldn't sit downwind from him and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Every time that and then Timon said, Pumbaa, not in front of the kids. This time, Timon just let it ride. Seth Rogen.
Full fart jokes, eh?
Seth Rogen was born to be Pumbaa.
Is Seth Rogen?
Seth Rogen is Pumbaa.
Okay, that's pretty good.
He was born to be Pumbaa. No joke.
I will consider seeing this movie. I don't want to cut this podcast short, but I did just eat 8 eggs full of hot sauce. Daddy's got to make a boom boom.
Okay,
Let's wrap this up.
Hey, 50 minutes is good enough. All right, guys. Johnny's got a shit, so let's get out of here. Thanks for listening. I'm going to make this quick. Johnny, you can just walk off if you want.
No.
Okay, thanks for listening. Check us out all over social media at Jumbled Podcast. You want to send us any emails, that would be it'd be jumbledpodcast@gmail.com or johnny.jumbled@gmail.com. Dick pics only, the second one. Keep listening wherever you're listening. That's appreciated. But wherever you are listening, if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review, it would help out a lot. We would appreciate it immensely. Want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Audible. Head over to audibletrial.com/jumbled. Get your free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. Head over to Patreon, patreon.com/jumbled, and give us $500 to get us in a dress. One single dress. Me and Johnny are going to get in one dress. We're going to be like a weird Siamese twin thing.
The same dress. I like this. I like where this is going.
Yeah. What else? I feel like I'm missing something else. It doesn't matter. You guys know the drill. Make sure to share us. Share us with all your friends, your family, your enemies. I don't care. Anyway, just let everybody know. We'll keep growing this thing. We'll keep bringing it out. And you know what? I'm already so far into the red with this podcast. I'm just willing to dig myself a deeper hole here. So I'm just going to keep going. Mostly because I love doing it, but also because I don't know. I have $15 is a nominal fee. Anyway, thanks guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week for another episode of Jumbled, your favorite podcast
about how to buy a car.
See you later, guys.